Good morning, YouTube. This is Zephyr, and Halls of Torment is officially out. 1.0 now available. It's on sale, so if you don't have this game by now, I don't know what you're doing, but you should probably go buy it because it's like cheaper than a coffee in most places. So it's been a long journey. We're finally at version 1.0. Some new unreachable treasures, endless power, and rare artifacts. So past 17 months have been quite an adventure. So let's see here. We are almost satisfied with what came out of the originally planned 6-month early access. So they're going to have this management tool. You can open that up. It creates little cards that you can see like bugs they're working on and stuff. And you can still report it to the previous places of the Steam forums and the Discord server. So changelog, this is the real important stuff, right? What we want. The Vault. The Vault is the final stage of Halls of Torment and can be unlocked by purchasing 30 items from the Vault Keeper. To enter the Vault, you'll need some coins. Price is mostly up to you. There's like a minimum fee from what I remember their previous postings about. The more you pay, the more modifiers are added. They may be positive, negative, or ambiguous. Every fourth modifier adds a Torment shard to the final drop, so you can get tons of Torment shards, which are useful later. The Vault Lord does not spawn automatically after 30 minutes, but requires you to actually activate them. The Vault Run lasts for as long as the Lord is active or alive. After 30-minute mark, the monster's strength continuously rises, so you do need to activate and then kill the Lord, otherwise you're just going to get overrun, is what it's basically saying. I haven't read these patch notes. I'm just kind of going through them as we go through them. I like to be spontaneous-ish. Beating the Vault unlocks the post-game. This currently includes making uncommon items recoverable. Ooh, that'll be interesting. And being able to find additional artifacts. So I don't know how I feel about this, but it'll be interesting to feel out. The Vault also has a medium-sized quest board to complete as well. So that means more experience, more other stuff unlockable. The Shrine of Torment finally has arrived. Unlocks by defeating the first boss in the Chambers of Dissonance. Agony mode will be moved to the Shrine of Torment entirely. Defeating Lords in Agony now grants artifact drops. Artifacts can be used to customize the game mode, but they also increase the stats of monsters. Okay, let's pause here. Agony mode has been moved. So it's the same progression as before. You're supposed to unlock Agony from kind of the Chambers of Dissonance and beating stuff in that timeline. And so Agony mode will now be purely related to the artifacts. And okay. Total of 30 artifacts, which you can use it as many as you want. Using more artifacts improves drop chances, rarity, loot, and amount of champions. Additional artifacts unlock when you defeat the Lord in the Vault. If someone manages to defeat the shrine with all artifacts, we'll simply keep adding more. Oh, okay. An artifact quest board has been added to test the mastery of each and single one of them. Additional quests that require the usage of artifacts have been added across all boards. So, yet again, more experience to be had here with more quests, more stuff to be dropped. I'm not quite sure how this plays out, but it sounds like you just have to activate Agony inside of the shrine, and then everything else is just dropping based on activating Agony. 30 artifacts sounds fun. I know there's one that's supposed to lower the duration of the run. That's probably going to be one I'm going to be using a lot. The Scriptor, new NPC. He must be rescued from the frozen depths. The Scriptor kindly informs you about all recoverable items. Basically just kind of a tome of knowledge of the things in the world. Scriptor can permanently improve characters with shards, and they're fully refundable. In the future, the Scriptor may hold additional information, and the Scriptor has something to say about other NPCs in the camp, and vice versa. So, controversial character. Or just a gossip. Characters. Trait 5 quests can now be unlocked. Each character has five rank 5 traits available, 2 weapon proficiencies, 2 stances, and 1 dedication. The weapon proficiency is exclusive to each character. Interesting. So you can't get those from the marks. Stances are trade-offs from major playstyles of each character available via marks, and dedications are improvement of the playstyles of each character available via marks. Only one of the V rank traits can be taken from each character per run. Oh, okay. Unless you use potions. Traits are available at level 60 when the previous traits have been taken. So it does take quite a bit into a run to get there, but level 60 is not super high. I mean, I've definitely surpassed level 100 on my primary save, so on a pretty regular basis. So each type of weapon proficiency, stance, and dedication for each character has an unlocked quest. The sage has seen some changes regarding his balancing. Ooh, I want to see that. Minor character balancing for all characters, but no drastic changes. Items. All items now have 2 uncommon versions. Good. Items can now be recovered in the post-game. Okay. Beat the vault, and you get more items, I guess. When using enough artifacts, items of new rarity can be found that are further improved variants. So this is literally the uncommon goes into rare that they teased about in a previous posting. It's now more likely to find new items from boss chests. Interesting. I like that change. It's a sense of discovery from killing bosses. Champions will now drop buckets without you having to send any item through the well first. Okay, I also like this as well. Up to 2 additional buckets can be found per run, so you can get 3 items. The well will teleport close to the player after defeating... The well will teleport to the player? Okay. I could understand the player teleporting to the well, but the well teleporting to the player, that's interesting. But still appreciated. There have been no new items added this patch, but new ones in the future. Well, I mean, we've got artifacts, so they're not items, but there's a lot going on here. Jade Amulet now converts collected gold to experience. Are they watching my videos? I don't know. I feel like maybe this was just a really common sentiment, but I don't really read the forums, so. But yeah, I suggested having an armor or something, do something with gold, because eventually you're not going to need gold. Color of Confidence is no longer capped, but has diminishing returns. Don't know that I have that unlocked. Duelist Spark now increases damage for the number of defeated champions, bosses, and elites. This count does not reset between runs. So it just continuously increases if you keep wearing it between runs? I need to check that out. I assume this increases the damage, but then also you still have to be kind of 1v1 with your enemies. Gatherer's Amulet variants now can refill potions during a run. Cool. That's really cool. So it gives a reason to actually have the Gatherer's Amulet outside of just having the initial reason and variants. Berserker boots now uncapped and have diminishing returns. Elven boots are now uncapped. I'm liking this uncapped part. I'll have to feel out the diminishing returns aspect of it. Because diminishing returns often don't feel good, but we'll see. We'll have to see. Bloodsoaked shirt. That's a fun one. I'm a big fan of that one. That's fun. Quests. We've had so many quests. We've now reached a total count of 500. I assume that this means we get about 0.5% experience bonus per quest, and something like that. So we get like 100% experience at max. There are now additional milestone quests spanning 2 boards. Existing saves will see new levels of existing quest types will be automatically set to the level of the previous quest. Almost all quests are now trackable. Quests that are time-based may scale with runtime shortening artifacts. That is, I like this. So if you want to run the shortening time, you can at least still get your quests done. Certain quests have reduced requirements, specialist quests in particular. So there were definitely some quests that were tedious. They weren't hard, they were tedious. And so some of them you might take a few runs to do and you might screw over your run, and I don't know. So I'm kind of okay with this. I kind of like that. I'd, again, have to look at the individual ones. But main quest suggestions have been expanded to cover the whole game until beating the game. Okay, yeah, this sets you on your path to where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to be doing. I like that. Communication through game mechanics is... I love communication through game mechanics, even if it's just a character telling you where to go, or literally a quest bar. It's simple, it does the job. Additional information about quest tracking has been added. All currently available quest boards have been filled up, and they all have been added as achievements. Yes, I think I got like 17 achievements by opening the game this morning. There might be more quests in the future, but quests after 1.0 will not be added as Steam achievements. Fortunately, not all final quest icons will be available, and they will be added in the future. Stages. We've added distance information to the collectibles on the screen markers. Okay, I've talked about that multiple times in my videos. It's a really easy change that does a lot of work. It's a lot of heavy lifting with something simple. Really, really appreciate it, devs. If for any reason somebody's watching my stream, my videos or something, or taking my comments, you know, take that one to the devs. I really appreciate you, devs. All stages got one or more additional ability drops, either by champions or placed directly in the stage. All additional drops must be unlocked via quest. Okay, so not right away, but you can get more. Some maps, the well has been visually adjusted. Okay. My guess is it just fits better with the visuals of the level. All stages have unique traps, and enemies activated by new major artifacts. That's cool. For the base stages, we expanded the amount of different champions and also added new abilities to them. Exciting. Champion drops have been adjusted to improve when playing with artifacts. Changed how champions scale. It should happen less often now that they have dramatic damage spikes. Oh boy. We'll see how that feels. Dramatic damage spikes. Abilities. New unlocks for stages to enable a fixed drop of 11 abilities for each stage. All abilities have gotten an adjustment regarding crit chance, crit damage, base damage, and traits that affect those values to line up more with the base traits. Okay. They have done a lot of adjustments to crit, so that'll need some sussing out and figuring out. Blessings focus now on relative increase rather than absolute ones. Relative increase. Not sure what they're saying here. Maybe less flat and more percentage or something. I don't know. Spectral Fist adaptation traits have been altered to be better understandable, converting attack speed and multi-strike to damage bonus, increase the normal attack damage of Spirit Warriors, change the projectile upgrades to scale less dramatically. Cane Rift explosions can now actually apply damage effects. Neat. Reduced effect, apply chance of elemental rifts when enemies are standing on them. Okay. Changed Arcane Rift spawning to be more regular. Isn't that like supposed to be kind of random though? Making randomness more regular. Nah, it's probably fine. Kugel Blitz now spawns more regularly and scales more evenly. Now scales with movement speed instead of range. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Meteor Strike now hits more regular, but with less foreseeable pattern, increasing base area instead. Okay, bigger area, like it. Might be able to play around the actual explosion of this, similar to how you might play around like an arcane rift or something else. Fixed an issue with meteor strike where triggers were skipped when certain attack speeds were reached. Golem upgrades no longer affect roll duration or roll cooldowns. Golem has a higher base speed and more relaxed movement restriction to attack more often. Golems and all other summons now scale their movement speed with the player. Thank you. Golem base roll cooldown and duration have been increased, reducing the time wasted on transition states. The golem has a lower cooldown than roll duration. The golem will no longer stop rolling. Golem traits have been adjusted to reflect base damage. There's a lot of golem stuff. It is also possible to get the golem to no longer roll. Thank you. I don't like rolling golem personally, but that's just because there's a bunch of other stuff that's like orbs and stuff. I don't really care to have the golem that way, but that's just me. Dragon's Breath now has a higher base damage, also reflected this in its traits. I love Dragon's Breath. Fixed an issue where the flame turned invisible and kept moving. Base attack speed of ring blades has been doubled. In turn, they have a lower duration. Okay. Cyclone upgrade has been changed into a pattern to cover more area. Frost Avalanche will no longer travel for as long as before, and will also visually disappear gradually. Yeah, so this one's a weird one. This is something I noticed. Frost Avalanche would commonly damage or even kill stuff off screen kind of regularly if it was just in the right angle and you were just doing enough damage with it. And so things would just drop. Same thing with like, where is it? Ring blades kind of thing. So they have a lower duration. That's kind of the same thing. They just kind of go off the screen and kill stuff off the screen, which means experience, potions, buffs are potentially you're just not seeing them. You just don't know that they're there until they pop up, and it's like, oh, there's all this loot in this other room. I wasn't in this other room. Anyways, lightning strikes now deal significantly more damage in bigger areas, and the base spawn is higher. Was lightning strikes weak? Did they nerf it at one point? Some negative modifiers have been removed from traits. Yeah, lightning strikes had a lot of negative modifiers. So this sounds good. I liked lightning strikes. I felt like it was a strong early game ability to take. And it did feel kind of weaker, but I don't know what caused it to be weaker. Astronomer's orbs have been increased to 5 but deal less damage each, which means you have more coverage but less damage per hit. Orbs have almost all traits rebalanced to reflect the base damage change. Many traits are losing some or all negative modifiers. Again, I'd say most of these are probably good to just leave out. I like negative modifiers, but a lot of them, they were kind of incremental, so they built up and they were really small at the same time. So it'd be like negative 5% attack speed. And so you might want to take it once or twice, and then you don't want to take it another time. Anyways, it was just kind of, they weren't big and bold enough to sometimes make a difference, and they felt bad because you'd get them too early maybe for your build or for even your progression as your characters might be lower level, your save profile might be lower level. So some of those negative modifiers you couldn't really adjust yourself to them as much depending on what they were. I don't know what all of these are, but many traits. Arcane Splinter now spawns more bullets that have a significantly higher base damage. Arcane Splinters have a lower duration. So again, it just doesn't sit on the screen. Less junk on the screen is probably good for performance as well. Almost done. Quality of life. Abilities now have markers to let you know if they can be upgraded. Good. When leveling up, it is now more likely to get traits that are related to traits you've memorized via Potion of Memories. Okay. I think that's good. Probably good. And the screen now shows the active artifacts in a run. Well, that makes sense. They make it sound like this is a new improvement, but like we didn't have artifacts before, so I would hope that was there with the release of artifacts. The quest menu now features a row of pips that indicate where you are currently in the quest board navigation. Okay, simple. You can now view character and ability stats from ability trait selection. Thank you. And the info is great. All info is really, really welcome. 610 and widescreen support. And when in widescreen mode, we are aware you will see monsters popping into the middle of the screen. We do not change the gameplay balancing to accommodate various screen ratios. That makes sense. Also, Torment is now running on Godot 4.3. Congratulations to the devs on all that stuff and bugs. I've never personally delved deep into Godot. I use Monogame for work, so it is what it is. Tons of stability and performance issues, performance improvements. Excuse me. The game should run smoother. We'll tend to lag in late games when too many things are on the screen, but we were able to push the limits. Yeah, I mean that's going to happen in really any engine. Eventually, you have to do some special performance tweaks to really get past that. Game statistic tracking started in 1.0, have the possibility to add statistic views in the future. I know a lot of people love statistics, so some abilities have been touched to bring them more in line with others, especially some traits, and 5 new blessings have been added, 3 related to critical strikes. Ooh, I'm curious on what that's going to mean. For this update, we won't be able to provide a full extensive change log. We will, it looks like they will have more documentation in the future. So let's look at this. It's telling me to get metabolism 5. Now this is my starting over save from that series. But just to show this, there's our pips. We have a lot of boards here. Milestones 2, Haunted Caverns, Story. Crit enemies, more gold. And they didn't fix this scroll bar. But whatever. I wish they had. I don't think this character or this save file has enough unlocked to make any difference here. So that sadly is not super helpful. Has diminishing returns. That makes sense. Let's see here. What's the archer looking at? I'm not seeing huge number differences here. You said this was more relative. I thought this was all percentage gains before, so I'm not really sure what's different there. Anyway, let's see if we don't have any access to anything new just by loading into the game. Okay, well, that is what it is. Well, thanks for joining up and looking at this video. If you haven't bought this game already, please check out my old videos. And it is on sale. It's a great game. It is probably some of the best fun I have had for that low a price for a game ever, maybe? You know, that's not some kind of like free-to-play, evergreen, long-lasting, full-time development game. This is like a pay once, play forever kind of game. So for $374, it can all be yours. I don't get any cut. I'm not part of the dev team. I just enjoy the game. So there you go. And in the future, I will do an official review as well, covering mechanics and gameplay and progression and stuff like that in a little bit of a depth to explain more of the game in a concise video. Until then,